Revenge trading doesn't feel like a mistake when it's happening, it actually feels like a conviction. You take a loss and instead of stepping back, your brain starts telling you that the market owes you that money back. So what do? Well, you open another position. And that one goes against you too. And instead of stopping, you add to it and then you do it again. Because in your head, it's not a question of if the market is going to turn, it's a question of when. And the deeper you get into it, the more certain you feel right up until your account is blown. And if you've ever sat there after a loss staring at your screen telling yourself that just one more trade will fix it, well, you already know exactly what I'm talking about. And before I get into the 3 steps, it helps to actually understand why this happens in the first place. Because most people think revenge trading is a character flaw. Well, it's not. It's a predictable response your brain has to lose. When you lose money, your brain registers it almost the same way as it registers physical pain. And the fastest way your brain knows to make that pain go away is to reverse it immediately. Not tomorrow, not after another session, like right now. That's why the very next trade after a loss feels so urgent. It's not that you suddenly found a better setup, it's that your brain is trying to medicate the pain of the last one. And once you understand that, you stop treating revenge trading as a willpower failure and start treating it as something you can actually engineer around. And this isn't just an emotional problem, and it's not just a system problem, it's actually both. Being emotionally attached to the money is what pulls you into the spiral in the first place. But not having a system with actual hard rules is what lets you keep acting on it. Most people try fixing this by telling themselves to have more discipline or more willpower, but that's not what actually fixes it. Willpower runs out the second emotion takes over, and in the moment you're revenge trading, emotion is running the show completely. What fixes it is removing the emotional attachment and building a system that doesn't give you room to override yourself in that moment. Not more willpower, just less opportunities to even need it in the first place. So let me give you the 3 steps that did that for me, and at the end I'm going to show you exactly what it looked like one time I didn't have any of these 3 things in place. Step 1, you need to get completely detached from the money. And here's what actually looks like in practice, not just in theory. Because saying detached from the money means nothing if you don't know what it looks like on a day-to-day. Look, I trade on MT4 or MT5 depending if I'm on my funded or live account, but I do not sit on those apps ever. All my charts, all my analysis happens on TradingView. The only reason I ever open my broker app is to execute, either open, close, manage a trade, take partials, like that's it and nothing else. And I'm never there just checking out a dollar amount. I don't go back to check my wins, I don't go back to check my losses, because the second that you're staring at those numbers, you're not thinking like a trader anymore. You're reacting like someone that's checking their bank account go up and down in real time. So I just want you to take a minute to sit down and think what that actually does to your decision-making process. When you're watching the dollar figure, every red tick feels personal and every green tick feels like you're proving yourself right. Neither of those things has anything to do whether your trade idea is still valid or not. So the practical version of this step is simple. Do your analysis on the platform that doesn't show you the dollar amounts, which in my case is TradingView, and only open your broker app to execute. And if you catch yourself opening this app just to check, well, close it. It's just a habit you have to break. Before I move to step 2, stick with me until the end of this video because the 3rd step is the one that actually made the biggest difference for me and I don't want you to miss it. So step 2, trade on a longer time frame. Look, I'm a swing trader. I take a maximum 1 to 2 trades a week. Like literally max. And me being a swing trader by itself literally doesn't give me a window to overtrade. Even if I wanted to, because my own system doesn't give me enough setups to do it. My system controls my behavior and I don't need to rely on discipline in that moment to stop myself. If you're day trading and taking multiple trades a day, you're heading yourself dozens of chances every single week to slip into revenge trading. Every single trade that you take is like a new opportunity for a loss to trigger that spiral. So the time frame itself becomes a built-in limit. It's not just about discipline, once again, it's structural. Your system is doing the work for you instead of you having to fight your own impulses every single day. And honestly, this is one of the most underrated reasons to trade higher time frames in general. Everyone talks about in terms of less noise, cleaner setups. almost nobody talks about in terms of how much it protects your psychology. Step 3, and I think this is probably the most important one because it's more of a psychological one. You have to change what you're actually trying to become. Now, what I mean by that is stop trading to make money. And I know that sounds backwards, but this is the switch that matters most out of all 3. Your goal isn't to be the trader who makes the most money this week. Your goal is to be the best trader, period. The money becomes a byproduct of it, and it's not the target anymore. I remember one of my mentors told me that just focus on your identity switch and the results will speak for themselves. Don't chase the results first. Chase the identity switch that you're having internally. So practically speaking, that means you need income outside of your trading. So your account isn't what you're paying your bills with, and it isn't what you're living your life off of. Get a job if you have to. There is literally zero shame in that. In fact, it might be the single best decision you make for your trading. I mean, shit, look at me. I got in debt 2 times over $10,000, and I was kind of feeling shame going back to work each and every time I fell into debt, but it was the best thing I did, and look at me today. I went in debt, I started working again, built back up my capital, invested in my mentors, worked on my skill, and then eventually, I was able to quit my job and live fully off of my trading. So all that being said is because when your P&L doesn't depend on the current week's P&L, a loss stops being a crisis. It just becomes a data, like literally nothing more. And you can actually sit with a loss, review it, learn from it, instead of needing to erase it immediately. When your income is tied directly to your trading account, every loss becomes a threat to your actual life. And it's very rare that your brain makes a good decision when it thinks it's under a threat. Your brain starts making survival decisions, and revenge trading is a survival decision. And I just want to explain to you guys what it actually looks like when you don't have these 3 things in place, because I lived it, alright? A couple of years ago when I first started trading, I had a long position on Ethereum, and that was back when I was still trading crypto. That's far gone now. And I was trying to catch the exact reversal of a correction and back towards a new all-time high. But price kept moving against me, and instead of accepting that, I just kept on adding more and more and more long positions. In my head, it wasn't a question of if it was going to reverse, it was a question of when it was going to reverse. I was so locked into needing to be right that I couldn't even see I was digging the hole deeper every single ad. And I was just watching my dollar amount on the app the entire time. Every red number made me more certain that a green number was about to show up at any second. So that's step 1, me completely missing it. And I didn't have a system that limited how many times I could add to that position. Nothing was stopping me structurally. It was entirely up to my own willpower in the moment, and my willpower had already left the building. So that's step 2, completely being missed as well. And that money was money that I needed. It wasn't extra capital I could afford to lose and shrug off. It mattered to my life outside of trading, which made every red candle feel like a personal crisis instead of just information. And that's step 3, completely missing. Eventually, that position got liquidated, and that was $3,000 gone. Account blown. I literally blew out all my money on one trade. Now, yes, there were risk management mistakes in there too. No defined stop, no actual plan for how many times I'd let myself add to a losing position. But underneath all of that, the real driver was that I was trying to make back what I had already lost. And that's revenge trading in its purest form. I wasn't trading a setup anymore. I was trading my ego, and my system wasn't built to stop me from doing it. And also what played into it as well is that at that time I didn't really have a job. I had quit my job to go full time into trading, and I can make another video on why that's a huge mistake, but in that current moment, I wasn't working. So the only money I was relying on was my trading money. Now compare all of that to how I trade now. As I said, I'm a swing trader. I take maximum 1 to 2 trades a week and executing only on MT4 or MT5, as I said. And I analyze only on TradingView, and trading with money that isn't holding my life together. Literally, it's the same market, but completely different outcome because the person making the decisions changed. So here's the exact action step to start applying these tomorrow. So you're gonna take a notebook. On one side, you're going to write who you are right now, and honestly, be honest with yourself. That might be a revenge trader, someone who overtrades, someone with weak discipline right now, whatever it is for you. And on the other side, you are going to write who you're becoming. But here's the part that actually matters. You write it in a present tense, not in a future tense. It's not a I will stop overtrading, because that's negative language and it keeps your identity anchored to the mistake. Instead, you write, I'm a disciplined trader, I'm a professional trader, and etc. And you write that every single day until your brain actually starts to believe it, because your actions will follow your identity. It's not the other way around, and that's a huge misconception in people that have never made it to a high level. And this isn't some fluffy affirmation exercise either, or some positive talks every morning. This is you rewiring what feels normal to you. Right now, revenge trading feels normal to you if you're watching this video, but after enough days of writing down what you're becoming, discipline starts to feel normal instead, and your behaviors follow whichever identity feels true. But now I know what some of you are thinking. Easy for you to say, detach from the money, but I actually need to survive, blah, blah, blah. But that's actually why step 3 matters as much as it does. If your trading account is the only thing paying your bills, you will never be able to detach from it, because every single loss becomes a threat to your life, not just to your account. So get an income source outside of trading first. Let trading be the thing that makes you the best version of yourself, not the thing keeping your lights on. That one shift removes the pressure that turns normal loss into a full spiral. Some of you also might be thinking, well, I already have a system and I still catch myself revenge trading. And if that's you, the question isn't whether you have a system, it's whether your system actually removes your ability to override it in the moment. And most systems fail here. They exist on paper, but there's nothing physically or structurally stopping you from breaking them when emotions take over. Writing down a maximum number of trades per week doesn't mean anything if there's nothing stopping you from opening a 6th trade or a 7th and feel the urge to continue. The system has to be built into your actual behavior, not just written notes app you can ignore. That's the difference between a system you have and a system that actually has you. That's the entire point of these 3 steps together. Step 1 removes the trigger, step 2 removes the opportunity, and step 3 removes the pressure. You're not relying on willpower at any point in that chain, you're only relying on structure. And here's exactly how you'll know if it's actually working. The next time you take a loss, you'll notice a gap. A few seconds, maybe a few minutes, where there's that old urge that shows up, but there's nothing feeding it. No dollar amount is staring at you, no extra setup sitting there or tempting you to take it. No financial pressure turning the loss into a crisis. The urge shows up and it just has nowhere to go. That gap is the whole game. That's the difference between a trader who occasionally feels the pull of revenge trading and does nothing about it, and a trader who actually built a life and a system where that pull can't turn into action anymore. And honestly, this isn't just a trading lesson. The same pattern shows up everywhere in life. You have a bad day, and instead of stepping back, you make an emotional decision to try to fix it immediately. And that decision usually makes things worse. The only difference is trading just makes the pattern painfully obvious, because the losses show up in your account balance in real time. One of my mentors always told me, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So fix it here and you'll probably notice yourself making better decisions outside of trading too. Most traders never fix this because they never actually name it. They call it a bad week, a rough patch, a bad luck, whatever. They don't call it what it actually is, which is repeatable pattern with a repeatable fix. Once you name it, you can actually build against it instead of just hoping it doesn't happen again next time. So to recap, detach from the money by only using your broker to execute and never watch the dollar amount. Learn a system that prevents you from overtrading, which includes trading in a higher time frame, and become someone whose identity isn't attached to being right on the next trade by writing down what your new identity is every single day. You unlock those 3 things and revenge trading stops being something you have to resist. It stops being possible in the first place because the conditions that created it are gone. If this video is something that you found helpful, please drop a like. It helps with the algorithm. Subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.